This is the full Game 2 VOD of the matchup between T1 and BLG from the Finals of Worlds 2024.
Ban from T1.
Yep, that's exactly what we're talking about, the knock-on effects of that game number one.
And the Skarner response as well, not wanting to hand that one over. This means that we're going to see Jun on something different. We've been seeing a lot of Skarner from him recently. And
everyone keeps giving it to him,
I mean, it's true, and I mean, he's going to ban it on his side. So let's see what direction they now go in. T1, what are you going to look to remove? Is Knight Silas something that you don't want to have to deal with? Or perhaps something like the Callista, once again, is something that you think is worthy taking off the board.
Yeah, bottom lane has been terrifying, and yet Knight Silas was insane. Maybe they would even consider first picking and stealing it away.
Perhaps. Now the Ashe and Callista are both available. This is an important choice for BLG. Do you ban away the Ashe and then give over the Callista, which is partially why we see the Varus ban as a solid answer into the Callista. They're going to take away the Vi instead, so all AD carries are available. The Callista going to be the lock-in. Bear in mind, BLG could just go for the Ashe themselves.
Ashe is a really good response into the Callista, always an annoying one, so that's one that T1 will also be expecting, though, coming into this. Now, will they immediately pair it, with like a Renata or something like that, or are they going to try and grab their jungle first?
Well, the Ashe is the obvious lock-in for BLG, isn't it? What are they going to pair alongside it is the question. We will see if they decide to go towards their jungle, or whether you are looking at something like the Renata to make sure that T1 can't have the Callista Renata bottom side.
Definitely is a possibility. I think, well, in my head I was thinking maybe the Rumble is also a strong possibility for Bin. We've seen it prioritized heavily, and it looks like that's the direction that they're going to go in. So he's going to continue with this power pick on the top side of the map. He's found a lot of success with it over the last year. We saw it introduced last year, but now that means the Renata is available for carrier. We often see him play towards the AD carry that Gumayushi has locked in, and you talked about it in the previous game, carrier loves to roam mid, Kobe. On this champion, he especially loves to roam mid.
And so there we go. They are stealing away the Silas. Take it, get it in the hands of Faker. Knight, what do you have?
I mean, always look towards the Ahri.
Yeah, or Galio. Okay, so if they do Galio...
It's a Kindred game, potentially.
Exactly. Are we in for a Shun Kindred? Because they're like, oh, he just keeps getting Skarner. Well, some signature picks possibilities. Those are very far down the line.
I mean, you also have the ban phase to go through where T1 could say, well, it looks like a Kindred came to us, so we might just take that away.
It just makes kind of sense here because they have double AP with Galio and Rumble, and when you're playing Kindred, you always want some setup with a mid laner like Galio. So maybe T1 will ban it away.
I don't want
Maybe not. He could still just play like Xin Zhao or something.
I don't want to overcook, but there's always the world where the Rumble goes bot lane and then there's still a counter pick top for Bin. For now, we'll assume that it's on the top side of the map, given that we're seeing these top lane bans come through. The Gnar going to be taken away, and there's the Kindred. So it seems that T1 had the same read that we did. I wonder if, I'd actually be very surprised if they go for something like the Nidalee. But let's see what direction that BLG now go, because they're going to need a little bit more damage to come through from the jungle. They do, of course, have Elk and Bin on these high damage threats. With the Sejuani taken away, the pool in the jungle is getting much narrower.
Could always go towards the Xin Zhao, as you said, Kobe. It's a possibility. Let's see if T1 decide to ban that away. Alongside that, you have the fringe picks like the Graves, even the Poppy a possibility as well.
I mean, Poppy into Silas and Callista, both pretty good things to shut down here. A couple of options to hide.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about the Poppy is you could flex it as well, but Jun, taking his time, thinking about what jungle direction he wants to go, and it's going to be locked in for the Xin Zhao. So I think Galio plus Xin is a great combo. You have that utility in the mid lane provided by the carry threat that the Xin Zhao provides, and an easy engage tool to follow up on any Ashe arrow that connects.
Xin's ultimate is just so good for those team fights as well. They have a lot of synergy here that they could combine. Now on the side of T1, though, the pairing with the Callista. We do get the Ornn lock-in first.
Okay, T1 is responding with some team fighting of their own.
It's also very long range. Ornn ultimates Nocturne global here as well, semi-global himself, trying to combat some of the global power of the Galio. We have lots of long range stuff.
There's always the threat of the Silas ulti steals as well, but you have left Onge Rakan open. quietly in the back line. That support pick wasn't locked in, and when we think about On's career all-time, this is his best champion.
It's his most played. It has a 73% win rate. He's battling against Guma, though, with 30 games on Renata. He has an 83% win rate. So the support battle in this game is incredibly exciting. We've already seen the two team compositions being routed out as well. What do we think, guys?
I just think the Rakan is such a good delivery for the Galio as well.
And I just think it's hilarious that here in the World Finals, these players have high win rates on a lot of champions,
what a
right?
surprise.
They tend to win a lot, and it's fantastic to see. Game 1, BLG just came out swinging. A phenomenal performance from them straight from the level 1. T1, you have to imagine they've adapted. Their draft is very different. Their bot side of the map is a lot more confident, faking out on an AP damage threat, and it's going to have a lot of agency with the Silas to steal away Ashe, Arrow, Galio ultimate, along with the Rumble red carpet. It's going to be an interesting matchup for sure.
That it is, and it's going to be the 50th Worlds Finals game ever. Here in the O2 Arena, we've been blessed to be able to watch a best of 5 between these two teams. I think a lot of people in the audience, even if they're not T1 fans, are hoping that T1 can fight back and take us all the way to 5 games. But BLG in game 1 came out and clobbered the LCK number 4 seed.
And BLG this year for them has just been so strong, adding Knight to the lineup. First in spring, second at MSI, first in summer in the LPL, and here in finals, up 1 game already on T1.
But BLG as well, it was a team that was, when it was originally built, wasn't expected to have this sort of success. When all the way back, BLG did buy super teams. They were looking for this incredible roster of 5 superstars, but the addition of Bin, Elk, On, Shun, they were looking at a team that would grow into a super team, and that's exactly what they've done, as you say, with the addition of Knight this year.
Bro, they have onto the biggest stage with the entire world watching. They get the
double knock-up already. Kerry is down to half HP. He's going to have to flash. Gumayusi cleanses away from Knight. The chase continues. BLG flashing forward. The heal coming out. Gumayusi now slowed by the Ashe. And you can't escape the quiver of Elk. First blood again to BLG.
Are you kidding me? Another one. Level 1 first blood for Elk.
In the exact same spot as game 1, Gumayusi will lose his life. Summoners blown. And T1, they were just trying to get some vision, get a bit of early information, maybe even drop a ward into BLG's bot side jungle. But the collapse from On and Elk, the chase down of the Ashe, means that BLG draw first blood.
Elk flashes forward so he can get the slows onto Guma, and it's enough. They get both his summoner spells. I mean, a lot of summoner spells were also used offensively by BLG, but it is still going to be the lane swap after the first blood here. T1 will go topside.
Gumayusi and Kerry are trying to get away from the power of Elk and On. Obviously, On good in lane swaps as well, can absorb a lot of pressure, pretty tanky. He's going to get knocked up here, though, and Zeus might have to burn the flash to get away. Elk with the slows, just going to chip him down to about 190 HP.
Yeah, Zeus couldn't get the timing there. He's trying to get in range for experience on those minions. Takes a lot of damage for it, and now we have Bin going mid to soak experience and do a lot of damage.
Baker taunts it up, the Electro Harpoons go into him, but he's able to hold on to the flash for now. Will catch this wave as it crashes towards his tower.
Bin making a beeline towards the bot lane. I mean, I really think they need to set up for a dive onto Zeus. He actually hasn't gone back to base. He's at about 50% HP. You'll notice Shun still on the top side of the map, pathing towards his bot side. Typically, you'd see this split map situation, but both junglers have had access to their side of the map.
And actually, because Carrier cancels his recall there, they might make the call to go for the extra pressure on Bin, who teleported in, but it doesn't look like it. Level 2, he acquires it. Meanwhile, Zeus?
He's level 1. He's about 1 minion away from level 2, so 2 tower shots should be enough to tick him over. On here, it's level 2 of his own. Shun coming in as well to bolster this attack. Zeus underneath the tower. Able to flash away, gets the double knock-up, and look at On, he's about to be turned off! On goes down, Shun almost falls to, escapes that final tower attack.
Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade, but I think BLG's happy with this. Look at all the farm that's being lost. Zeus needs to TP back in quickly to soak up as much XP as he can. The good news is the threat of a redive isn't possible for BLG.
Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Bin had a smart ward earlier over that wall to see when Owner would come to pressure him off that wave, and Bin stuck around to soak up the 2.5 his level now on the Rumble before getting chased out.
Carrier looking for On here, Gumayushi here as well. On just trying to shepherd Bin in towards the tower. You can actually see Knight
Teleport?
using the TP here. Guma still no flash, no cleanse. The Grand Entrance going to get a knock-up. Knight flashes across the wall. Shielded Duran for the double sword, and now the Flame Spitter is doing a lot of work. Guma's going to be brought back with a bailout, but can he survive? Down to 100 HP. Knight, the battle dance for On keeps him alive. Owner still chasing, and he rips through a Knight. Now Faker joins the party. A handshake from Carrier is one Bin did not want to take. Bin goes down as well, and T1 have 3 on the board.
T1 answer back so well on the top side of the map. Knight tries to punish the flash, the spot lane of T1, but they just don't quite have the damage to take down Gumayushi, and that allows T1 to find the turnaround.
Yeah, look at this. Initially, Carrier peels Bin even further back. That handshake will be important because the flash over from Knight, they got the double taunt into the almost combo there onto Guma, but then they have to back off because, like you say, Carrier put the bailout on him, and then Owner goes up with the passive auto from Nocturne, gets the kill, and the chase down.
Guma as well in that skirmish recognizes On, tries to get that last auto attack, and takes a quick sidestep backwards to avoid that last auto. Beautifully played by him, and T1 find themselves with the kill lead here in game 2. This is what we wanted to see. Not going down without a fight. Gumayushi not able to secure any of those early kills, but Faker and Owner in a prime position to carry.
But it's also why we talked so heavily about this Renata as a possibility for Carrier. You can see not only the handshake, but also the bailout doing so much work when you have the map split like this. Alongside that, the hostile takeover just stops any team from really being able to dive you as the game goes on. Carrier is absolutely sublime on this pit.
Now, we've got 35 seconds until the grubs spawn. You'll notice that Elk has chosen to reset, making his way back out towards mid, where On is already there. There is an experience advantage in favor of the T1 support, but Elk already ticking over to level 5 as Knight has actually moved down towards bot lane. No TP available for Knight or Zeus means they can't really get involved. And I wonder how impactful that's going to be, because do you really want to try and fight a Xin Zhao this early on over the grubs? But T1 do have a lot of pressure on the top side of the map.
Yep, you can see Knight moving up the river now already on the Galio, transitioning over to the objective. Shun has the brush. No W will hit there onto Carrier, though, for the poke.
Very close level 6 for both Knight and Faker. Those are going to be crucial levels for the upcoming fight. Tick now for Knight and Elk as well.
Yep, soaks it in mid lane here. This could be dangerous for T1.
BLG going to start up the grubs. Shun on them. On still only level 3. Has the flash, has the heal. They'll get one with the smite. Handshake pulls On back, but he can dance out with that W, and he'll manage to get to the relative safety of this top lane tri-bush. T1 will find 2 grubs for their own as they forced BLG away.
Yeah, Zeus also able to walk up. He just barely got his level 6 on that Ornn, so big Ornn ultimate coming through. BLG don't want any part of that. It's going to be one of the kind of hangover effects of the lane swap, is that Bin is going to be down in experience here in the 1v1 F2 matchup, but they see them.
Almost out of vision, but they do get spotted. You can see On trying to dance in there. Elk immediately using the cleanse because he knows T1 can continue to advance. Carrier holding the handshake there to get rid of that summoner from BLG.
Knight hovering around the top side jungle, ready to leap in at a moment's notice. No TP available for Bin. Bear in mind, he's still only level 4. He's being denied a lot of experience. With Zeus having the ultimate available, the threat of a dive is a real possibility. Faker keeping his pressure up in mid lane, about to tick over to level 7.
T1 will be able to get the first plate of this push. They're second in the top lane. Bin is catching the wave in mid, not yet level 6.
Yeah, I think it's a good defense there from BLG. They make the call, they sacrifice bottom lane, it's okay. Bin rotate over towards mid, catch that wave, so he can safely get some experience while the rest of BLG trying to defend on the top tower. The big wave on bottom side is going to crash on bot soon, though. Bin has to go.
Yeah, Bin has to go, but that leaves room for Faker to roam up top. Now they can guarantee numbers advantage, and they can set the sights on the tower.
Bin shows now. Do T1 pull the trigger? Do they go for the fight? Zeus was trying to hold the wave. They couldn't quite do it because BLG had enough numbers to force him away. The equalizer that Faker stole away does a little bit of chip damage, but not much else. Unlocked up for the moment as Faker looks for that abscond. That dot can't quite land the chains. Carrier and Gumayushi pushing through the wave now. Paranoia coming out, Call of the Forge God is stopped. Zeus dashing forward, the shield of Durant for the taunt blocked by Ona. The knocker coming out as well as BLG trying desperately to defend the hero's entrance. Cancelled as T1 fight 2. Shun forced underneath his turret as well as BLG are walking away wounded.
Such a good play for T1. There were a few seconds left on Bin's teleport. He could not join. They forced the dive on, looking for any recallers.
I mean, T1 is sticking around. The TP will come through.
Shun already down. Bin walks into a scarred battlefield. He'll still take out Gumayushi. In the end, T1 unable to get that extra plate, but they do find kills in the top side.
I do feel that this game, BLG is just running around the map trying to keep up with T1. The pressure that Faker kept in the mid lane, the fact that Zeus had already ticked over to level 6 and they were bleeding so much XP, a nice arrow connects onto Zeus, meaning that he can't follow up with his ulti, but he gets a flash away, a nice spell shield from Ona. The two-man knock-up from Zeus was crucial, allowing Guma to just free fire onto the back line.
Yeah, and the start of it, Guma had tanked 2 tower shots while trying to walk to the rest of the team. Then goes for the ult into flash, follow, and then the repeat on the dive here. Shun trying to do something, and it's only going to be Guma, the sacrifice on the other side. Him not having flash from the earlier play.
But when we get back into game, I want to keep track of the experience and the levels that people find themselves at, because right now, I feel like T1 have a big advantage. Level 7 on the top side, so Bin has been able to catch up. In the mid lane, Knight has also been able to close that gap. Elk, though, with actually a full level lead over Gumayushi, while Carrier has now ticked over to level 6. So BLG have done a good job of being able to close that experience gap. But in terms of the gold, you can see big advantages on the side of T1 thanks to these early kills that they've been able to grab.
They've closed it in a lot of spots, but On is level 4 to level 6.
True.
He needs that quickness. He needs that ultimate, especially if you're going to have Knight following up with the hero's entrance. You want everyone locked in there so that the Galio landing knocks them all up. We'll see if On can get some of that XP. Currently, he's just shadowing Elk in the mid lane.
And it should be T1 collecting the next pack of grubs. BLG, they know they don't want to fight that, so they're just trying to pick up Dragon right now. Shun working away on it. See if Knight, how quickly Knight can push this bottom wave, though, for the Galio. His teleport is ready. Ultimate will come up soon.
Yeah, I don't really know if he wants to join this. BLG, they tried to take a fight around the top side and lost out pretty heavily on that. T1 now with a 1.8k gold lead. They'll get their 4th grub and they're looking to make it 6.
Yeah, Bin uses the Rumble ultimate for the wave, so they're just gonna make the call. We will pay for this with some tower plate money here onto the side of Knight. It is quite big to get the full 6 grubs, though, for this T1 comp, because, again, going back to Champion Select, if they are able to open up the map with the Ornn plus Nocturne, you have a lot of long-range pick potential. And now top lane again, the arrow.
Hits onto Guma once again. He does have the cleanse, but he holds onto it for now, burns it just as Bin was about to start to burn him. T1 get another plate on the top side 3 minutes before those fall off, and they're investing a lot of time in making sure this top lane goes low.
I mean, right now T1 is playing a very heavy 4-1 style, but they're forcing BLG to respond to the top side of the map. They keep dragging BLG up here, and every time they do, BLG is losing a little bit more on the map. Ona secures level 8, gets another plate in the mid lane, and T1, they're not going to alleviate that pressure. And look at the positioning of Carrier here. Something he often does on this Renata is he just walks in your face. He is not afraid. He knows he has the mechanics to be able to outplay you, and it creates this space that allows an easy objective secure for T1.
I'll also say that sort of position is so tricky for the Rakan, because what are you going to do? Jump at him? He just handshakes you out of your jump, and you can never really find the engage. So you have to find flanks. Obviously, BLG weren't looking for a fight in the top side. T1 take the first tower, have a 3,000 gold lead now, and are well in control of this matchup.
Now it's going to calm down a little bit. BLG going for their resets at the moment. The outer tower on top side being down could be problematic if T1 can get the early push there and then transition over towards that mid lane. Currently, though, they actually send Guma and Carrier back down bottom, try and get their push there first.
The Herald is going to be crucial for T1, I think, to unlock that mid tower. I think that this comp can be a little difficult to see. Oh, Carrier.
Carrier's going to face check, knocked up with a Justice Punch, but again, the handshake stops Knight from being in range for that Shield of Durand taunt. Elk is on his way as well, 4 seconds on the arrow. He'll look to see if he can catch out Guma. Underneath the wave, he just volleys away the minions instead.
But you see the confidence the Carrier has?
Yeah.
Happy to face check in a situation like that. He's going to be chipping away over this ward right now. Good control from On. Still not level 6, by the way.
All right, we are going to get the early push on topside for Zeus as well. The early tempo here for T1. What play can they create with it? He doesn't quite have teleport, so it is a little awkward, and he's not even going for the recall, so doesn't look like they're going to force quite yet. But you always have to look at these hovers from Owner. The Nocturne kind of shadowed there with Faker Silas, making the roams, threatening down to the side. And the Hawk shot cooldown is very important for BLG. Every time they're trying to find that play before it happens.
It certainly is. The Herald likely going to be the next big point of contention. The reset's coming through for T1 as Carrier already making his way back out onto the map. Owner's going to be the first to the topside river. The Scry's Bloom going to be popped by Bin to spot on any vision, but none has actually been laid down just yet. Carrier's just replenished his stock of wards. Meanwhile, BLG, heavy investment on the bot side, Kobe. You can see all these wards being set up to reclaim control over that area of the map. But this is where T1 want to focus. Jun knows that the objective has started off, and the bot lane of BLG now regrouping with the rest of the team.
See, T1 have just had prio in basically every single lane. 9 plates to 3 in this game. Ona did start up the Rift Herald. Her patience is going to run out, and she'll scuttle her way back towards the pit for now.
And in payment for that, Zeus is able to, again, push another top wave.
You can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot just how different it looks from Game 1. In Game 1, it was only Gumayushi who I think had a 40 gold lead, the only speck of blue on there. Now is T1 across the board, having leads apart from Bin in that top side. Knight and Faker trading here, Faker down to half HP. Meanwhile, across towards the Rift Herald, that handshake from Carrier going wide. On does have the quickness. Faker still trading down towards the bottom side. Knight goes in with the Justice Punch, Carrier down at half HP. BLG gonna get the advance through the mid lane. Faker and Knight unable to do much more than just slap each other around. No one is going to fall in that bot lane for now.
Those side lane trades are so interesting because Knight's trying to make the trade as quick as possible, get use out of the aftershock.
Oh, on. Just pulled back with a handshake. He's going to have to grand entrance his way to a grand exit. Manages to escape for now. For a second, I thought he might fall. Faker dashing back in, lands the abduct as well. The taunt will connect onto him and slow his advance in that bot side, but with Wave pushed in, he now has the opportunity to back into Fog of War and then TP into the fight. T1 still looking for a bit of a battle around this Rift Herald. The question is, will BLG acquiesce to their request to take a fight towards this top side?
And it looks like they're going to go for the recall first there for Knight because of the extended trade that Faker was able to get on him. Knight goes back to base, full heal, teleport out.
I mean, the important thing here is Faker didn't reset before TPing in, so he's at half HP. Does have the quickness stolen away. The Scuttle Crab will go across, on goes in with the quickness, knockback with the Crescent Guard as well. Call of the Forge God coming down as the tide comes in. The hostile takeover just possesses BLG. It's 2 already, the hero's entrance. A swift exit back to the fountain for Knight as T1 clean up the fight.
It's just a bloody brilliant re-engage, isn't it, from T1? Just as BLG find that nice knockup, Jun goes in, actually knocks Faker over the wall, but then the Wombo combo comes back in, and T1 find the fight that they've been looking for.
Oh, that was so juicy with the Ornn and Renata there. Locked them up. T1 will claim that Rift Herald in the aftermath as well, but look at the initiation. So On is originally going on to Carrier and Faker, locking them up, but Zeus gets an Ornn ultimate into the double knockup, into the Renata ultimate over it. Faker coming back over the wall from the blue buff, and T1 are able to chase them out.
Yeah, the chain CC there. I mean, Gumayushi also threw care of the knockup as well. It was knockup into ulti into just a great Wombo combo. This is the T1 and their ability to find these plays. They didn't have that in Game 1, but in Game 2, they are finding them plenty now with a 4K gold lead 17 minutes in.
It's the power of the paranoia as well. Like, BLG are just advancing into darkness. Like, okay, we got Faker, but you're so far away, I can't even see you anymore. I don't know how to follow up. And then T1 just throw everything into the mix. And now they are looking for their first dragon of the game, a 5,000 gold lead over BLG. Very similar to how far ahead BLG were in Game 1, although obviously T1 had yet to take all of the towers we saw BLG manage to do.
Becomes pretty problematic for BLG on those sides, and so T1, they're just going to force down the dragon, immediately rotate everybody over to this outer tower. Wait, lying in the fog of war. If anyone from BLG steps up, have to be a little bit careful there, so sacrifice the tower initially, and then as you said, they have the Rift Herald still in pocket that they can then use for the mid tower.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to deep push out this bot wave to kind of keep Knight on the map a little bit longer. The resets can now come through, and they can reset back out into mid. It's an easy setup and an easy siege thanks to the Ornn ultimate that can be used to zone them away from the tower. Faker going to catch that mid top wave, going to look to reset as well. And look, here comes the resets through into mid. In fact, they don't even bother basing. They actually just make a beeline towards that lane. And now they set their sights on the mid tier 1.
Yeah, BLG have to be so careful when they're collecting these waves. Look at Knight and Bin collecting their waves pretty far back at towers. Arrow from downtown.
Elk gets a taste of his own medicine, but he should be able to survive this, especially with Jun coming in from the side. We'll take a spear to the back for his time in the mid lane, but T1 just used the fact they've stunned out Elk to take down that mid tier 1.
And look, Knight can't actually afford to push out that bot wave, even though he knows that the play is happening in mid. If he overextends, the thing that Kobe's been talking so much about is the threat of the side lane play. And now on the top side of the map, Faker looking for a bit of a scrap.
Realizing he doesn't really have the manpower here to back him up, the arrow going wide.
But he's crucially drawing members to the top side, and now the bot lane play becomes an option for BLG. They have the push in mid, they have another wave that they can catch on bot, and then they can start putting pressure on the tier 2 tower, and if Knight overstays, there's the threat of a dive.
Both these teams so good when getting ahead, and we're seeing it here from the opposite side. T1 in game number 2 with 6 grubs, remember how quickly they can take these towers. They're just gonna siege up at this turret, try and spawn those grubs, and they rotate Faker down after pushing topside. Again, you see Bin having to collect those minion waves at the tower, and it's always the first move there for T1. Again, the power of Nocturne here lurking in the jungle means that BLG constantly have to defend at towers.
That's the thing you've got to be careful of. Ooh, he's going to ride that one into the tower, and they're going for the dive.
Unfortunately coming out as well. Elk locked up towards the top side. The Rift Herald did charge in. Half the tower has been a loss, but BLG able to hold on to the rest of it for now.
So that's an example of what we're talking about with the Ornn ultimate, just using it as a zoning tool. I got a bit ahead of myself, expecting that to be a full-on dive. Tier 1 going to show a lot more respect than that. But what I was trying to say earlier is that it's not the 4-man stack you've got to keep an eye on when it comes to T1. It's actually just the individual sitting on a side lane, whether it be Guma, Ona, Faker, or Zeus. They'll just push out that extra wave to get it deep, force BLG to both respond to the 2 pushing waves, and then that extra member comes and pushes in that 3rd one to then catch you off guard and then get away on this chip damage on the tower.
And the 6 grubs is so nice for them.
So powerful.
When they're constantly rotating between these towers, even though T1 have a very short range composition, they just kind of go up into range, spawn their little grub mites, and get little bits of chip damage on those towers. Meanwhile, On trying desperately to get the first step of a play, the early vision, the advanced warning, the extra information for BLG to try and craft a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, crucially, BLG have potentials to find pick. Ash Arrow is famous for catching you off guard, and that's ultimately what they're looking for, and why that highlight was so good, Kobe, because On's vision is going to be crucial to allow them to find those picks.
T1 agree with both of you. 5 sweepers. 5 sweepers and a paranoia. They're putting as much darkness on this map as they can for BLG. They realize the only way BLG really get back into this game is by finding a few of those picks, a few of those team fights where they have a numbers advantage, and by stopping them having vision anywhere, they're stopping them having that advantage.
It is something that T1 have shown so much success at this tournament. Just denying your opponents a vision and then making picks, making these plays, being very quick in their active thinking here. And so step number 1 accomplished. Step number 2 now, try and draw out BLG into the dangerous open area of the map. Dragon will arrive shortly, of which they can try and utilize that. But once again, you see T1 first on the side waves, pushing those ones in, and they have their double teleports ready, plus Nocturne ultimate.
Again, the side waves are so annoying for BLG now. It's constantly catching and catching and catching, and it's T1 that always get that push out onto mid. Holding this mid tier 1 is so valuable as well. Dragon, 20 seconds. Of course, the threat of Assault not quite there yet for either side. T1 set their sights on the enemy camps, and they're looking to suffocate BLG out from more.
All right, BLG.
Oh, the flank.
Zeus has got behind them here, brings the call of the Forge God. Paranoia, paranoia! Everyone's out to get you, Elk! He falls first, still has both The Summoner's On's going to dash away. The chase comes in by Faker, steals away the quickness. A hero's entrance from Knight just to defend. His support, T1 though find one, and they'll turn their eyes towards the Drake.
Ornn and Nocturne, it is just too dangerous to step out onto the map, out in front of any of your towers. And as soon as they do, T1 close the trap shut. They get their extra kill.
Elk doesn't even use a summoner spell, and I understand why. Like, what's the point?
He's like,
Where's
yeah,
he
you
gonna
got
go?
me.
And he'd rather save it for the upcoming fight. He knows that there's still Wasteland to come back into the game. Knight, I think, is a little too tanky to fall to this little skirmish in the mid lane. But it all comes back to what you gentlemen were talking about earlier, the denial of vision, creating this fog of war that is ever present on the side of BLG.
BLG at this point just kind of have to cobble together as much gold as they can off the map and try and create at least some more 2-item power spikes here, hopefully for Knight to get his second, and then try and rely on some magnificent team fighting. It's going to be so difficult versus T1 though. Again, Faker here, hide on bush.
Just going to chip away at Knight. Knight, as you say, very, very tanky. Has that Bramble Vest as well to try and reduce a little bit of the healing coming out from T1. The arrow comes down. Just wide of Faker. On still on the chase here. The rest of BLG starting to back away, and On realizes they don't want to advance any further. Don't have the vision around the blue buff where T1 are beginning to advance themselves.
I mean, Faker does have the global aggro debuff that we've all known him to have.
Him and Teemo, the two.
Yeah, BLG not going to be baited in, or are they? They see Faker here.
Been trading with Zeus. Quickness coming out as they look to be engaged. They find Faker. So has the flash. Paranoia comes out. The Crescent Guard will keep Faker alive for the moment. And Carrier has a flank position of his own. Oda has the bailout on his shoulders. And Shun is already down. TP now invested from Bin or from Knight as they look to rejoin the fight. Elk goes down. On follows suit. And T1 have been able to defend Faker. They keep him alive. Faker flashes. And Knight can't find him. T1 find 4. Only Bin left standing.
Many have tried before, but Faker does not fall that easily. His team is quick to react, and just like that, 4 members down. T1 will secure the Baron.
BLG knew we are falling behind. We have to make an attempt at a pick ourselves. They try and go at Faker, but T1 pounce in response.
It's just the one player that is so hard to catch, and that is not because he is an individual makes these crazy outplays, it's because his team is so quick to respond. Look, Owner is there starting off the Baron with him, immediate ultimate into the backline. He steals away the Xin Zhao ultimate to create a bit of space, but he dives into the fight, knowing that Carrier is on the way. The heal comes through from Gumeyushi, and then the turnaround, and Faker crucially sticks around. He applies the slow onto Knight, he gets a bit of a heal as well. And then T1 turn the play around, and they hand a triple kill over to Gumeyushi.
All right, back to live. You can already see the ramifications of that play. The Baron buff in the hands of T1. Walking up these towers, they just fall over in front of them. This series here, very likely to get evened up. The response in game number 2 for T1, taking back the Silas.
They are 12,000 gold ahead or thereabouts, and T1 advance on 2 lanes. Faker in mid has stolen away Elk's ultimate and has used it to great effect so far this game. Gumeyushi has a masterworked Blade of the Ruin King alongside a Terminus and a Ginsu's. Look at Elk still about half an item behind. T1 continue to pile the pressure on. On looks for Owner, can't find him. BLG just trying to find some semblance of an engage, trying to find some way to break through the armor of T1 right now, and perhaps it's Faker that they want, but he dives back in onto Shun. Half HP now on the Xin Zhao, and T1 just chipping away. That's all they need to do. They have the Baron buff for another minute's time.
Again, Baron buff and 6 grubs just solve so many siege problems. Arrow gonna get juked.
Flash was lost there for Carrier, but the damage is still being done. BLG's picked.
There they go.
Quickness, Paranoia coming out. The quickness goes in. Gumeyushi locked up here as Entrance going in as well as Knight looks for the back line. But already he needs to look at his own team because they are being ripped to shreds by T1. It was a valiant effort, but BLG find nothing.
T1 will strike back in game number 2 to even it up here in London.
Try as you might, T1 are on home turf. And we're going to a best of 3.